So today what I'm going to talk about is really around AI, it's going to be pretty straightforward. So today I thought that would be a good thing for two reasons. So one, it is the 1-year anniversary of Einstein at Salesforce. That happened last week. Kind of caught me by surprise. Everything has been happening so fast. We had a big to-do with cookies shaped like Einstein. So that was fun. But then I just found out that today is actually the anniversary of when in 1905 the Annals of Physics accepted Einstein's paper with the E = mc squared formula in it. So that's kind of a fun fact that that actually happened today in 1905. So I'm going to make two quick requests, which I'm going to remind you of. I'm looking for information. I will remind you of this at the end. If you have feedback around super badges and badges, I want to hear it. This is near and dear to my heart and my daily experience, so I would love to have any feedback. And the best thing to do is put your thoughts someplace. Maybe it's on the success community, maybe it's someplace else, and then loop me in somehow. Or you can email me if you like. Okay? This shouldn't replace any place that you're sharing your thoughts currently. This is just another person who's interested. So I would love to hear about your thoughts on super badges and badges. Anybody done super badges? All right, a lot of people. Very good. Who's done? Name a super badge that you've done. I just completed Apex Specialist. Apex Specialist? Nice. Apex Specialist. Rollout. Which one?
Lightning Experience Rollout.
Very good. Nice.
All of us have to do that before Dreamforce.
Hi, Kier. How are you? Haven't said hello yet. All right, nice to see you. So that's one thing. I'm very interested in that. The second thing is I had a conversation on Twitter that I have failed to follow up on, and so I need your help. And that is this question about technical debt. So I thought the call out about how to extend CPQ in a way that really works and is scalable over time, maintainable over time, I thought that was a really good call out. But if you have thoughts on how to minimize technical debt in a Salesforce deployment, I would love to hear about it. I'm going to put together something on it. I'm not sure what it is yet, but I would very much be interested in your opinions. Okay? So those are my two requests. Now, I read a lot. I tend to sort of default into the science fiction realm. And what I really tend to fall into lately is humans thinking about machines, thinking about humans, right? So if you get into the AI world today, you're going to find a lot of things where people are like, oh no, AI, very dangerous. Lots of things that we should worry about with AI. So for example, in this book, has anybody read Aurora? Oh, come on. No? Okay. So in Aurora, there's a giant spaceship that sort of becomes conscious and accidentally kills a few people along the way. It happens. Blade Runner? Anybody? Okay, classic Blade Runner. A bug in the system causes artificially intelligent humanoids to kill people. Sensing a theme yet? In here, anybody read Ancillary Justice? Oh, it's a fantastic book. He has? Okay, nice. Fantastic book. They will definitely kill you. The artificial intelligence is out to get you, without a doubt, okay, depending upon where you are on the political spectrum. So there's a lot of things where people are really worried about AI, but what I'm really digging about the way that Salesforce is approaching it is literally none of these guys are going to kill you. Like, there is no risk of death from any of them. So, ever. Okay? Notice, very cute and cuddly.
That's what I wanted to think.
Cloudy is big, or Cody is big, I'll give you that. But so, there's lots of stuff happening in the AI world at Salesforce, and if you've been around, maybe you've used Marketing Cloud. Okay, a couple Marketing Cloud people, all right. I did a couple years as a PM there. Maybe you've used Commerce Cloud. A little bit, okay. Maybe you've used Sales Cloud. Okay, lots of people, good, thank you. But AI has come in a lot of different ways, but really what we've done is we've coalesced it around this brand and this vision for the way that the MetaMind team, who was an acquisition about a year ago, the way that they are thinking about AI, and that's what we're really integrating into all of our products. So there's a whole series of slides that we could go into that talk about the very technical way each one of these products is working and the different types of algorithms that they're bringing to bear on the problem that's within Salesforce, right? But fundamentally, they're all harnessing the data that's within Salesforce as a foundation set of data. They're using that to understand your business. Then what they do is they apply an algorithm to that so that they can make predictions to help your business better. And then they have a tournament to see which of those predictions wins. And they do this on an ongoing basis. So like if you're thinking about Einstein lead scoring, for example, that's kind of the core foundation for what it does. But what I usually spend a lot of time with is this side, the platform APIs. So there's really 4 platform APIs that we're talking about these days. So one is Einstein image classification. This is a classic one, and we'll be talking a little bit more about that in a second. I'll show you in action. Einstein object detection is newer. That's where you can have an image that has a bunch of stuff in it, and you can start to actually detect which object is which. Einstein sentiment, positive, negative, or neutral. How do you get a stream of data that comes in and have an opinion about what that data means to your business? Maybe it's social data, maybe it's in a Salesforce community, maybe it's a product review. Whatever it is, it's a way to get general, positive, negative, or neutral feeling about text. And then Einstein intent is much more custom to your business. So you upload a set of data which is labeled. So for example, your customers might want to order a product. They might need customer service help. You then go ahead and train a model around that so you know what text is equal to what intent. And then you upload samples so that you can get a prediction back based on that sample and that model, right? And so all of these 4 are things which you can use today, but they are very developer facing. So when we were at Trailhead DX, anybody here go to Trailhead DX? A couple people did? All right, very good. Thank you. When we were at Trailhead DX, what we were doing was we were primarily showing these at the API level. So if you were in the keynote, you actually saw Postman working back and forth with Salesforce APIs. It is the slowest possible way for a human to do this kind of stuff. Really good for computers, but if you're a human trying to understand them, it's pretty slow. And so we had one of our developer evangelists in Germany, René, put together a fantastic set of Apex wrappers to make it easier for everybody here. Has anybody done this yet? Rad has, very nice Rad. So this is a great project because it actually takes some of the stuff which is API driven and lets you do it in a regular, familiar Salesforce Lightning user interface, right? So that you don't have to spend as much time kind of configuring things and figuring out, where you type something wrong in a curl command. So what I wanted to do today was take a look in here and actually go into a demo and walk through how it works. Does that sound good?
Yes.
Okay. So let's see. The first thing I want to do. Okay, so first of all, who has more than 119 badges besides Jody and Louise? Rad does, Kier does.
But I do have more points.
You do have, how many points do you have?
84,000.
Nice. Very good.
Sad.
I'm going to close that. Yeah, we don't need to talk about that anymore. Hang on, I managed to delete his... So we're going to have a demo today of this new tool called Google. You are going to love it. Here he is. Okay, he has a whole story about his nickname here, the Moonsprager. I don't really understand it, so just Google René Winkelmeyer and you'll find him. But this is the actual source code, and he developed it all using Salesforce DX, so it's very friendly to do things with the command line. Is anybody using Salesforce DX yet on a regular basis? A few people are. Cool. Couple things to note. If you're new to Salesforce DX and you're wondering why something isn't working with this project, note, Salesforce DX deployment actually requires a Winter 18 hub and dev org. That's 2 hours of my life I'll never get back, so you're welcome. So if we go into here, you'll see he's got pretty good instructions on this, right? And so you can see where you can install it into a regular developer edition today, or you can go ahead and use the Salesforce DX, and there's a whole bunch of stuff in here where it talks about how to do it. This is the Java version, I'm sorry, hang on. Where is it? There we go, this is the one, yeah. So here's where he's got the demo video that talks about how it works, and it's pretty straightforward. So I'm going to go in now and actually just open up the dev org. And I'm doing this using Salesforce DX plugin, primarily because I am so sick of having to manage multiple developer editions and passwords and everything else. So this is just a regular Scratch org. This is, in my opinion, one of the best things about Salesforce DX. There's a bunch of them. So I'll pop over into the Einstein Platform. And you'll see there's a few things in here. Now, he actually walks you through the setup, and I really love the fact that this setup in here, it tells you whether or not it's set up correctly. There's really one thing that you need to get this set up, and that is a free developer account from Einstein.ai. Einstein.ai. Okay, that's the website that you go to sign up. You can sign up with your Salesforce credentials, and all it wants is to make sure that you can't sign up more than once, right? So if you go and try and sign up again with an email address that you've already signed up with, it will give you an error. So if you're signing up for multiple reasons for some reason, just make sure that you're doing it with a new email address and you're good to go. And then you'll see he's got some great instructions here and here around how to use it, some resources about learning. And then you can go over here and you can use an image classification. So you'll notice that we've got the three main things that we already talked about already built into this package. So there's image classification, there's the sentiment analysis, and there's intent, right? So these are the three things that we've done. Now, I'm going to start with a simple prediction. And I'm going to start with a prediction because I think this is the easiest way for people to really understand the power of artificial intelligence. So for example, today, if you're on the Facebook Live event, you might have heard James Governor talking about how image recognition is kind of the hello world of machine learning and AI. And that's definitely the case. That's where a lot of people start. So I'm going to take a file. And let's see where the demos are. We're going to start with animals because those are fun. That's not an animal. That's an animal. And you'll see as soon as we upload it, it goes ahead and reaches out. And this is not really that great. What model am I using? Oh, food. Here, let's use animals. So, here's a fun fact. If you're going to have a model, you should pick the right model, right? Because remember, how artificial intelligence works is it takes that sample data and it uses that data to then make predictions. If you have the wrong sample data, you're going to have the wrong predictions. So, we'll go back in here and we're going to say general image classifier instead, and we'll see if this comes up any better. Oops. Tree frog, that's always a good one. Here you go. So now we have a tree frog, and it's coming back with different kinds of frogs, right? And pretty much a 0% chance of it being a gecko or some of these other things. So that's pretty good. Who here has a business where all you do is classify frogs? He does. Okay, perfect, good. I know there's one in every crowd. So the thing is that most people don't have a business like that. Most people have some sort of custom model that they want to use. And so there's a way that you can actually build a collection of images and use that as your training data. So if I come back over here, you'll see that, there it is. You'll see that I have a couple of them in here. So number one, I have a whole bunch of trailhead characters. So Astro, Cloudy, Cody, Einstein, all of these guys. And what I've gone ahead and done is created a custom model using those. And so you can see I've got my trailhead characters over here. And you can see all the labels and the number of examples that I've put in. And then if you look, you'll see where I also have trained a model on it. I'll show you how this process works in just a second. But the model comes up with this awesome string that half the reason I'm looking at this right now is because I can't remember the string. So it's ZF5, right? Now what we're going to do is we're going to come out here to prediction, and we're going to pull ZF5 in. And then we're going to pick up a new file. And I'm not sure which character this is. Looks like Astro. Let's see what happens. Okay. Comes up as Astro.
It's not Wade.
I'm sorry?
It's not Wade.
It is not Wade, yes. You might have noticed that I had a few humans in with the characters, right? Because they're kind of fun. So this is really the power of how these APIs work, is that you can take whatever your business needs are and build a model that's unique to your business needs, right? So in case your job isn't tree frogs, you're good to go. Let's see how it does with this one. There you go, pretty good. So most likely it's Einstein, possibility it's Astro. But anytime you're above the 85% confidence range, I typically think that it's, it's got the right one there. So in this case, it's Einstein. There, I'll make that a little bit bigger so it's easier to see. So now, I do want to point out that you can see the raw data as well. So what happens when you send an image in, the algorithms return a collection of probabilities. So you'll see that these probabilities have a label and a number. The number can be relatively distinct. So like 0.96, that's pretty high. And then as you go down, you'll see that it still returns these numbers for Leah or Wade or Mary, but the numbers are very small, right? So it's very unlikely that it's going to be one of them. So this is what your computer would see as you go out and you're actually doing the API calls. That's what it would come back, and so you can just interpret them however it makes sense. So, questions so far? Okay, so let's talk about data and training for just a second, because this is a pretty fun thing. So what I want to do is, you know what, I forgot to put my training data someplace where it's accessible. That's the weakness of this one, right here. So let's go in and, you know what? Go in here to Files, and you get to watch me Salesforce. Exciting. Okay. So we're going to do Home Types. There we go. Thank you. And we'll go out here, and I'll get my public link. I'll say create my link. Yes, of course I want that. Okay. Now, go back over to the playground. There we go. Image classification. Okay. And we'll put this one. So the first thing that you do is you create this data set. So remember, the machine learning is really three things. So you have your labeled, sampled data that you know what it is. And then you build a series of trained algorithms around that. And then you upload samples that you want to classify. So if we look in here, hit refresh data sets. Sometimes this is actually taking a second tonight, so we'll see what happens. Okay, well this is going to take a second to do. So essentially what happens is you upload this, your training data gets read by the system, and then you end up having an output like this, which starts to show what your label is, how many examples you have. So we'll come back to that in a second, and we'll see if it's uploaded, because this is an asynchronous process. Sometimes it takes a minute. So from there, let's go into language sentiment. So language sentiment is interesting because it actually has a pretty nice pre-built community sentiment model, but you can also build your own if you really want to take some text and classify it as positive, negative, or neutral. So say you want to type in something like, pizza was awesome, right? That comes back and you see positive, negative, or neutral, mostly positive, which is good. You can end up getting a variety of other things which are less clearly positive. So for example, my coffee was cold. This could be good or bad depending upon how you like your coffee, right? There's no real way to say exactly what that is. So for me, this would be a negative. I like hot coffee. Even if it's 90 degrees outside, I want it hot. But some people do like it cold, right? And so you can have the positive on there too. So let's go into intent for a second. And you'll see in here we also have a number of different things, right? Where we have some sample data that results in this kind of intent. So sentiment is more how are they feeling. Intent is more what do they want to do. And so you can see here that we've got samples around order change, sales opportunity, billing. So let's go in and we'll do a prediction. Let's see. Here's a fun fact for this. For anybody who goes out to do this, I'm going to talk to René about this, maybe make this a little easier. But you notice there's no model in here right now. Here's another 2 hours of my life. As soon as you click on this models, right, then you can see that there's a training model in here, right? We actually have 2 different models. And now, as you come back over to prediction, these models are in here, right? So, now what we're going to do is we're going to say something like, I need to get a new phone. And we'll send that in. Oh. Oh, it did not give me my response. Okay, there we go. So, you'll see then something is up with that model. I don't know what it is. Sorry. But you'll see then I need to get a new phone, most likely a sales opportunity, possibly password help, possibly billing. But this is a great way that you can take inbound text from a customer and try and figure out what they're trying to accomplish. Automatically routed into the right case queue, that kind of thing. So, I don't know if this is done, but I'm going to come back over here real quick and see if we can refresh our data sets. Nope, sorry about that. The training of data set generally is pretty easy. I've had better luck posting it where I can actually see the full file name. I don't know why. With this one, it tends to be a little bit slower. I don't know if it's causal or coincidental. But mountains versus beach and the trailhead characters, those are ones that I just hosted as a .zip someplace. Right? So let's go in now and take a look at what this would look like on the API. So first of all, if you are interested in learning about these things, one of the things that I always like is fantastic help documentation. So because this is a company which joined the Salesforce family relatively recently, this hasn't all been rationalized to the same look and feel yet, but it has fantastic developer-facing information in here. So it has curl links, it has JSON sample bodies, it has all this kind of stuff that you might need as a developer to start using the Einstein APIs in your code today. So if you look in here, you'll see it breaks it all down into these various topics. We're going to skip over that right now, and I'm just going to show you two of them. First thing I want to make sure that you know about is that you can see where I now have an account ID and a private key. This is how it knows who I am. And then like a lot of API calls, if you're at the command line level, you have to throw in an access token, right? So it's giving me a long-lived access token here. So then if you go over here, because I'm lazy, I pasted some of this into a text editor, and then we'll just run it. And so you'll see in here, this is similar to the Apex limits monitoring, right? If you're trying to monitor your limits in real time. These are your limits around API usage. And so you see that you can hit that, and you can start to figure out how many predictions I've used, how many my max are per today, so I can actually watch how the system is working. So if you're used to trying to monitor your governor limits in Salesforce, you can also monitor governor limits programmatically using the Einstein Platform Services this way. Okay? So that's kind of boring, so let's see where I am. Let's go over here, and now what I want to do is I'm going to try this one. Get the right access token. And you'll see in here a couple of things, right? So number one, this model ID should look familiar to everybody who's reading this in detail. You'll see it's that ZF5 that I was talking about before. And then you'll see that I'm sending in a JPEG, right, that says, who is this? You copy that. And if you go back over here, you can actually see it in action. And so it comes back. And so this particular picture might be Leah, might be Mary. Fun fact, it's actually a picture of Leah and Mary. So that is about right. So it's about 45, it's about 50% for each one of those is what it expects. Now, if you were watching, did anybody watch developer, like the release readiness live for developers on Friday? Okay, so we had a couple people. So on that, Leah actually was showing how you could use this with multiple people. And so if you had a picture of two people, it could come back and say, with the right API call, that yes, this is both Reid and Rad. This is both Leah and Mary, right? So that's a capability that's new out now too. Okay, so that's at a high level. And if I did this right, these are the things that I showed you. So let's make sure. GitHub repo, opening from Salesforce DX, basic predictions, custom predictions, a quick pause for some API magic, and then hopefully I remember to show you a demo summary slide. All good?
Yep.
Okay. So the thing that I would recommend is that if you are interested in taking a deeper look into this, go over and get the code. The code is actually pretty easy to look through. It's pretty easy to understand once you read the instructions that I did not do. So don't be like me, save the 4 hours of your life that you could have saved. And as soon as Winter 18 is fully released. This is going to be very easy for you to use with Salesforce DX. Today it just requires you to make sure that you have that special hub org, which not a lot of people have yet. So, Trailhead. If you are interested in learning more, the best thing to do is to start doing some of these Trailhead modules that are available. So AI Basics and Einstein Features tend to be more business user focused. Sales Cloud, Einstein, Business User Admin, and then these two tend to be more developer. And they're available today, so you can go ahead and get them whenever you want. There's an Einstein Vision project that René also put together that is all about his home for wayward cats that does cat identification. It's a pretty fun project. It doesn't take too long. You did it?
I've done it, yeah.
And it was fun?
That's a good one.
All right, good. So I encourage you to do that. And now I've got a couple of other announcements, but one is Louise is doing MVP office hours tomorrow, right?
Yep, tomorrow, 12:30 to 1:30.
Okay.
With these other three gentlemen and MVPs. So
Awesome.
please sign up. The registration details are available. If you look at the Twitter, you'll get them, and on the community group. If not, I can give them to you afterwards. I've got Bitly. But yeah, it's a drop-in, so you can just drop in. If you've got a question, great, ask it. One of those three will probably answer it. And if you haven't, you can just listen. We've got some content around lightning this time, but other subject matters coming. But generally, pick the brains of an MVP over your lunch break.
I am always amazed at the questions that come up during MVP office hours. I haven't dialed into very many, but they're always substantial questions that people are answering, which is great. So thank you for doing that. And then to remind you about my ask from earlier, right, is to share whatever information you might have about these two topics with me. I would really appreciate it. Okay. Okay. That's really the substance of what I wanted to talk about today. I hope you found it useful. Does anybody have any questions that you want to go through?
That's two very short ones. The first one is the intent stuff used by the new chatbot stuff that's coming?
I don't think the intent stuff as it's published is used exactly by that, but the underlying architecture is used by lots of services. Yeah.
And the second one is, with the features you've shown today, are they free for end customers, or is that just for developers?
So the developer org is free. For the rest of it, you should talk to your account executive. Yeah. Okay, so things I'm glad that I don't have to do, right? But you know, one thing I want to just to kind of expand on that. I think the pattern that I want to make sure that everybody takes away from how the Einstein Platform Services are working is they all follow the same pattern. You have some sample data that you've labeled, that you know what it is. You upload it to the service creates a model, and then you can use that model to create predictions. And so the engine is fundamentally the same across whether it's images or whether it's sentiment or whether it's intent. It's all just the different models that you might be using, right? But the fundamental mechanics are very similar. Okay.
And there's a use case about the instant discovery. So do we need a license for both Wave Analytics and Einstein?
Okay, so the question is for this last badge around, let's see, Einstein Data Discovery, right?
No, not that one actually. I think probably slide 3 or slide 4.
Okay. Help me say the question again so I understand it.
Go on. One more.
Ah.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay.
Einstein Analytics.
Yes.
So if people want to use it, do they need to have a Wave Analytics license and an Einstein one?
So these are both built in, as I understand it, but that's also a talk to your account executive. Yeah, because there is the Einstein Analytics. I'm not sure the details for how they're managing the CPQ portion of this. Yeah.
Does sentiment and intent work only in English?
Does sentiment and intent work only in English? This is a great question. Remember, the way that these work is you upload labeled sample data, you train the model, and then you make your predictions. And so the sample data that we give you out of the box, coincidentally, is in English. There's no particular reason why we couldn't do other languages. I have not personally tested it outside of English. But the fundamental model mechanics are going to stay the same. Yeah.
So I have a question.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
Can we use them together? So
Yeah.
if I don't know, somebody wrote me a message and I took a screenshot and sent you an image, can you use the object detection to pick out its text and then run through sentiment to come out with a prediction?
Not yet.
No. Okay.
Not yet. No, that still falls into Let's see. This one might accidentally kill you. Sorry. Okay. You had a question?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So we use like an online chat through the website for
Great.
liaisons with customers.
Yep.
Right. We capture that chat log and record it against the customer record.
Great.
We then know what the outcome of that chat was. So can we use that as a sample set? So, for example, we have a conversation with a customer.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah, so on and so on. Okay, that customer placed an order.
Yeah.
So can we now use that as a sample set for outcome equals order?
I'm gonna say yes, but I'm gonna ask you to test it. I have not tested that, and I think the interesting complexity there is going to be that there's dialogue back and forth in chats, right?
There is, yeah.
And so
it's a lot. The chat logs are big.
Yeah, and so really what you're going to be doing is you're going to be building a sample set that results in a known outcome, and then you train a model, and then you make predictions.
Exactly.
But the complexity of those, like the more ambiguous the sample, the more difficult it is to actually make high quality predictions. So then that means that you need more data to start.
We have a lot of it, so
I would give it a shot.
we'll try.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean that's honestly what I would do is I would just start by creating a data model and seeing what happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, thank you.
Is there, so if I'm particularly lazy, I don't want to train a model, is there a place for model marketplace or crowdsourced modeling? If you wanted to get intents on social media, for example, there might be, I don't know, 10,000 people wanting to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Can I just share my model, or better take someone else's?
So, it's two interesting questions, right? So, we do have some pre-trained models, but they're kind of broadly applicable to the tree frog business, right?
Which is fine for me, but
exactly, exactly. I'm not sure for everybody else. So, for the rest of you, Social Studio has a lot of stuff built in, which is about sentiment analysis specifically for social media interactions. And that would be where I would point you if that was really your bread and butter that you were trying to accomplish, because I think that's, I don't want to say that it's a permanently solved, never come again problem, but it's a problem that we've been addressing for a really long time, right? But so then let's take something which is more generally applicable, for example, the real estate market, right? So like we have, anybody use Dreamhouse as part of their work? Okay, a few people have, cool. So Dreamhouse is a bunch of sample code that's up there, put together by one of the evangelists, and our goal was to help people not understand real estate, but to help understand lightning, and real estate was just sort of the vehicle. Anyway, something like that where there's a common set of interactions around real estate, that would be interesting. Right now there's no way to share models. Models are specific to whoever created them, so your model key is not something which you can share broadly and make public. But it's an interesting idea.
Not share the data set.
The data set you could certainly share, yeah. Let me back up. So data set means one thing in the Einstein Platform Services world, where you upload a bunch of data and you create an Einstein Platform Services data set. That is also specific to your unique user. Once it's uploaded into our service, it's private for you, just like the model is private. The source data, whatever you do there, that's your call. That's your data. Yeah. Okay. Is that it? Awesome. Thanks very much. I appreciate it.